Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, today I'm really excited to be showing you a new camera that I've purchased, and it is the Fujifilm X-H2. And what a beautiful camera, my favourite camera. I'm really glad I got this camera. It's a beautiful piece of kit. It's got the 40 megapixel BCI backside illuminated X-Trans sensor in here, and it takes great images. Now, this isn't a full in-depth review. This camera's got so much going on under the hood. I'm not going to be doing a full in-depth review. I'm going to break them up into separate videos. So this is more an introduction video as to what I think of this camera since I've had it. I've had it about 2 weeks, so I'm going to go through what I really like about it and a couple of niggly little things, nothing major, but just a couple of things I think Fuji might be able to improve on with firmware updates, but I wish was slightly different. Now, this camera does take great images. As I said, it's a 40 megapixel sensor. I'm going to go through a few of the images on my computer here. I've got a few that I've taken in and around the garden. I would strongly recommend you look at them on my Flickr page as opposed to looking at them on this YouTube channel. You get a much better indication how fantastic this sensor is in the X-H2. It's the same sensor that's in the X-T5, yeah, the Fujifilm X-T5. But I went for the X-H2 because of its video features and I love its grip. I was concerned when I first got it, because I've seen many videos on this camera, but it was too big and too heavy. And I've got to be really careful with my back and my arthritis. But in actual fact, it isn't too big and it isn't too heavy. And this grip counteracts any of that anyway, because it's such a nice grip. It's a lovely camera to use. It has got this top plate there so you can actually see all your settings. I find that quite useful when I'm using it in the studio here and I can just glance down. I've got it on a tripod and I can just glance down at what the video settings are. But when I'm doing day-to-day photography, I don't look at that screen. I don't find the need for that whatsoever. So it's a kind of a mixed thing as to whether I find that particularly useful. Now, it isn't styled along the lines of Fujifilm's cameras traditionally. They normally have like an ISO dial on the side here, a shutter speed control dial here. This is more designed like other mirrorless cameras, so being it Canon, Sony, Panasonic, whatever. So if you are coming from a different system, a different brand, it won't take you long to get used to the way this works. And that was another reason I went with the X-H2. I've had the X-T30, I've had the X-T4, no, not the X-T4, the X-T3. I found it confusing having all these separate dials. This was me. I do prefer the conventional layout that other manufacturers are using for mirrorless cameras, and this has that. You've also got your 2 command dials, so you've got your one on your front, I use for setting the aperture or shutter speed, and then it's got a command dial on the back here that I've got set up for adjusting the exposure compensation. Although this camera, you can set all these dials and function buttons for pretty much whatever you want. So, you know, great from that point of view. And then as I say, X-Trans sensor inside here. There are function buttons on the 2 function buttons on the front of the camera. There's one down here, and then there's one at the top here. So you've got one at the top and one at the bottom down here. One of those is the actual release for the lens, and the other one's a function button. Yeah, and then on the top here you've got your PASM dial. It's got 7 actually settings for setting it up how you want. So it's got 7 custom settings. I don't know if you would need 7, but I guess, you know, I haven't set any of them up yet, but I guess, you know, you can use, well, obviously you can use all 7. You can use them for a mix of whether it be photography settings or video settings. So that's really handy. And it has got a dedicated video dial on the top here, and a filter setting. I don't know why they've put a dedicated filter setting on a pro camera, but they have. It's got a dedicated filter setting on here, and a video setting. It is a shame, again, they haven't put a switch to be able to flick between video and stills, so you can flick quickly between video and stills. That's on my Sony a6700, and even Nikon have put that on the Z30. But not a big deal for me, because I'm never flicking quickly between video and stills, but I'm sure there are some content creators that do need to be able to flick quickly between video and stills. One of the lovely features though with this camera, as with a lot of modern day cameras, is that your video settings are separate to your photography settings. You can't set the function buttons up separately, which is really annoying. For example, I've got one of the functions buttons set up for adjusting me audio levels. Now that would be great if it only done that in video and set that something differently for stills. I can't do that. I can do that on my Nikons, I can do that on my Sony, but at least the video settings are separate to the photo settings. And what I mean is, if I'm taking outdoors taking photographs and I've got auto white balance turned on and I've got, you know, shutters and aperture priority and what have you, when I go to video, that will go back to me manual settings. I've got it set to a Kelvin setting of 5600, and it'll go back to that. So you can separate your photo settings to your video settings, which is lovely, and I think that is really, really helpful. It does shoot 8K video, and that is fantastic. I've not actually experimented with that, as I've only just had the camera, so this video is very much an introduction to my feelings of this camera, but it does shoot 8K video. What I have noticed though, I've had to buy a much larger CF Express card, because it takes CF Express and SD cards. So you've got a CF Express cards here. That's a 512 gig card that I've had to buy. I've got several 128 gig cards, but in 8K video, I only got like 4 minutes. I mean, it's 5 or 6 minutes actually. So I went out and bought a 512 gig card so I could make more use of the 8K video codecs. You can do ProRes internally, but again, if I set ProRes HQ, then I think I got 30 minutes it was on the 128 gig card. So I need to be able to get you know, more than that, because the file sizes in ProRes are so high, but you do need the larger cards. But the CF Express cards do read the data fast, so that's why they've obviously put a CF Express card in here, and I use the SD card purely as a backup for JPEGs. So when I'm shooting stills, I shoot RAW on my CF Express card, and I shoot JPEGs, high quality JPEGs, on my SD card. And what I'm going to be doing is setting that up for black and white, high quality black and white images, because it's got all the film simulations you could ever want on this camera. It's got all the Fujifilm simulations. Actually, while I open the screen, it's got a 3-inch articulating screen, which is great for video like that. And as I say, it's got all the film simulations. I've got that pre-set up to this one of these pad buttons here. So you go into that and I can set up my film simulations on here just by turning this dial, and it will go through the different film simulations. So I'm going to set that up to black and white, and then I'll be able to shoot full colour raw images on my CF Express card, and really nice crispy black and white images on my SD card. Although obviously in RAW I can convert them to black and white, but if I don't want to convert them, I've already got them there, I can actually do that. So I'm going to be playing with that, and I'll let you guys and girls know what I think of the results once I've taken some JPEG black and white images. It's fully touchscreen, so it is a 3-inch articulated touchscreen, which is really nice. The only annoying thing with this touchscreen, which is the same as on the Olympus OM1, is when I go into the menu, I can't move around the menu using the touchscreen. I can on my Sony a6700, it's nice, quick and easy. But with this, it's not quick and easy, because I still have to manually go into the various section of the menu I want to go into. And that's a little bit annoying. One thing that really does annoy me with the menu is that it has got a menu for doing birds, trains, automobiles and what have you. And it's got human, obviously, eye detect and face detect, but they're not in the same menu. So you have to set up pretty much 2 function buttons to turn on and off for face detect, and then turn on the you know, the animals, humans and what have you. What I found now with this particular camera, I've got this back button set up for turning on human face detector on and off, which is nice and easy, which is great. And if I want to go into bird or animals, I do like taking the photographs of me cats. I go into the Q menu, so the Q button is just here. So I go into the Q menu, that brings up a whole grid of different things that you can adjust. And then right towards the bottom there, you can see a little animal. I can adjust that just by going along here with the D-pad, and then I can adjust that then to being birds, trains, animal. You see there, it will go through the different ones: birds, trains, cars, whatever. And I find that's the quickest way I've found yet of being able to go into one of those detection menus, or switching on human eye and face detect. It's a little bit annoying, but it isn't all in the same menu. I think that would be, you know, the logical thing to do, but Fujifilm aren't the only manufacturer that are not doing that. See, I mean, it's on the A6700, because it's touchscreen, I just need to touch the little icon that shows either the bird or the human. I mean, I can set it that way, just with one icon, as opposed to having it set up 2 or 3. But there we go, that's that anyway. I adore the viewfinder on this camera. Now, I've got poor eyesight, and the viewfinder on this camera is absolutely outstanding. It's the best I've ever used. It's a 5.76 million dot viewfinder. It's crisp, it's gorgeous. Honestly, I can't describe how beautiful this is until you actually use it. You really do need to use this viewfinder in this camera to realise how fantastic it really is. And that's why I, you know, navigate to this camera every time I'm going out now, because I just love using the viewfinder. I've been using the back screen on most of my cameras. I'm quite happy with taking photographs like that. But now that I've got this camera with this huge viewfinder and beautiful display, is wonderful. The other thing with this display, you can actually make the icons bigger. So that's in small at the moment. So I can just swipe across here, and then now you've got a larger display. And it does the same in the viewfinder. You can either set up a small display or a larger display. The only thing to be aware of with that, in certain modes, certain things don't show up. Like in video mode, now that's in larger display, I can't see my audio levels. So just one quick swipe, and then the smaller display comes up and you can see your audio levels. So a great feature, certainly for me with poor eyesight when I'm taking photographs. Have it in the larger display, and you know, you're way to go. Also with this swipe screen, you can set up zebras. You can set up the screen, because this swipe acts as like function buttons. So there's 4 additional function buttons that are on the screen basically. And if you swipe down, I've got that set up for setting up the zebras. So you can turn your zebras on and off at different levels. I think that is wonderful. And so there's all sorts of function buttons on here for setting up this camera, how you want to set it up for your own, you know, personal needs. It does have a tally light for video, so you can have a tally light on, off. It's got one on the back, one on the front. So we're in video now, so if I hit record on there, you can see the tally light comes up on the camera, and that's great. So I know that it's recording. It's a shame my A6700 doesn't have a tally light. I just hope that is recording. My Nikon Z30 does have a tally light, so I think that is a great feature. And the XS20 that I have here, also when I do use this for filming, which I will be, this one has a tally light as well. So I think Fuji have really thought through a lot of the video features on the X-H2 and their newer cameras, the XS20. But the codecs on the X-H2 for video are out of this world. They're absolutely phenomenal. It's got, as I say, ProRes. It's all internal. It's got 422 codecs as well as 420 codecs, long GOP and all intra codecs. And your bit rates you can set from a low bit rate to a very high bit rate. Very, very flexible. How you can set this up for video recording. The only downside that I've been told is the rolling shutter. So if you're doing lots of whip pans, the rolling shutter on here is quite bad because the sensor readout is quite slow. It's a lot slower than the X-H2S. I generally do either interview type filming or presentation to camera like this. So that's of no consequence to me whatsoever. And apparently, under certain conditions, the camera can overheat. I've been using this camera this morning constantly up until now. Obviously, I'm not using it because I'm showing you it, but it's not overheated. It's been absolutely fantastic. So I've not had an issue with it as yet, but you can buy an additional fan. It's quite expensive, 170 quid, but you can buy an additional fan that screws into the back of a unit, 2 screw holes here for screwing on the fan, and that reduces the temperature. So that's a useful add-on that Fuji have come up with, and the same fan fits the XS20 and the X-H2S, and obviously it's going to fit other Fuji cameras that they are going to be bringing out. The ports are great on this camera, and so are the flaps. It's got really good quality flaps on this camera, unlike some of the cameras that I've used. So you've got full-size HDMI port on the side there, which is awesome. You've got your mic and headphone jacks on the side here, which is great. There on the side there, and it's got USB-C. So the USB-C is great because you can use it for power delivery. So if you are running this camera constantly, plug in the USB-C lead into a power bank or mains power supply, and it'll just keep on going. You haven't got to worry about the battery running out, which I think is great. You can also charge a battery while you're out on location if you do need to do that via the USB-C port. But batteries are fantastic on here. It's the same battery that the XS20 takes, and they last a really long time. It's a W235 battery. It's a new designer battery from Fuji, and it kind of reminds me of the Sony FZ1000 or the FZ100 batteries that the A6700 takes, because they last for ages. Yeah, really happy with the battery length of this camera, and also, you know, the real professional ports that are on here. So now let's take a quick look at some of these images. As I say, we'll be just a quick flick through some of these images. I always recommend that you take a look at them on Flickr. But the clarity and sharpness that this lens produces, this camera produces, it's a 40 megapixel sensor, and as I say, produces some really, really nice sharp images. I'm absolutely, look at that, it's absolutely stunning. Really, really pleased with you know, the resolution from the sensor on this camera, the dynamic range if you do need to edit your images, and the overall quality of these images. And Fuji always seems to be able to produce cameras that take images that look more filmic than they do digital. They're not over sharpened. There isn't a tremendous amount of correction being applied to the images before you actually start to edit them. So I really do like that. The tonal range is really good with this sensor. I just think that, you know, it is a 40 megapixel sensor, so it's great for being able to crop the images. I tend to do, you know, a fair bit of cropping, but you know, it's great that because it's 40 megapixel, you can crop that down quite dramatically and still end up with a pixel count which is really good for printing. Obviously uploading to social media isn't a problem at all, but as I say, the sharpness is really good without looking over sharpened. I'm always conscious with digital files that they can look over sharpened, and they don't when they come off this sensor. They look very organic, very filmic like. So yeah, take a look at these images on my Flickr page, and then you can study them on Flickr. So there we go. That's a quick look, or an introduction look, to the Fujifilm X-H2. I love the handling, I love the feel of it. I'll be using it constantly for video as well here in the studio. So I'll be doing another video what I think of its video quality. That isn't really in today's video. Today's video is purely an introduction. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos related to video photography, podcasting, so on and so forth. Cheers for now. Bye.